Happy Thanksgiving, Chief here. Today I'm going to talk about my trip to Bad Tolz, Germany to go to PLDC, Primary Leadership Development course. Got a lot to talk about, so I'll probably jump around, unfortunately, because I don't remember the exact sequence of events. I got my slot because we had a sergeant who I'll call Mr. Jeopardy. This sergeant got selected and had tested to be on the Armed Forces Jeopardy Week. And he was representing us. He got selected, so we were supposed to ask him random questions and stuff like that as we saw him at our place of work. I didn't bother. And he was a one-term soldier. He made sergeant and he got out. So one day I went down to the orderly room and the specialist that was serving as the company clerk said, "Hey specialist, how did you get your slot?" I said, because some sergeant didn't want to fulfill his duty or something along that line. And Mr. Jeopardy was sitting over there. I didn't see him when I came in. He goes, "That would be me." And I just looked at the specialist and said, "There you go." I use some other terminology, but I want to keep this for children. And so I think it was that visit that the first sergeant came out of his office. He looked at me and he goes, "I got another slot. Who should I send?" I go, "Well, my spouse." He goes, "Okay." So she was already a sergeant. I was specialist promotable. I'd gone to the board. My board was fairly what I considered easy because they gave you a list of the things that you were supposed to study. And I did. And it's all made of E7s and above, mostly first sergeants or people of high or in positions of authority like in charge of the S1. Yes, Snickers. Sorry. Kitty cat's talking to me while I'm trying to do a video again. No, I'm not going to lock him in a room. That'd be cruel. He's 16 years old. Okay, come up here. Okay, you want to see everybody? There. Say hello, Snickers. So you're not even talking. So one of my board questionnaires, I'm not going to say what nationality he is, but he had a very strong accent, and I had to ask him every question to repeat what he asked me. And I did it in the proper thing. He was a sergeant first class, so I'd be like, "Sergeant first class, would you please repeat the question so I may further understand it?" Or something along that lines. And the reason I asked him to repeat each and every question was A, to be consistent, and B, to listen for key words so I knew what he was asking in regards to my study material. So, the first board I ever went to, I felt calm, cool, and collected, but I didn't feel that way in later board. We'll talk about that one. So, we find out that there's about 8 to 10 of us going from Berlin, Germany to Bad Tolz. Bad Tolz is down below Munich, just before you get into the big mountains. And we have an E6 in charge of us, a staff sergeant, because at this point in time, the Army is telling sergeants and staff sergeants, get even with your schooling, or you're not going to get promoted because we're now going to hold you to going to the appropriate school at the appropriate rank before we will consider moving you up further in the ranks. So big scramble for a lot of people to get to PLDC because, like I said, we're going to have specialist promotables because you got to be specialist promotable in order to go to PLDC. We got sergeants, we got sergeant promotables, and we got E6s. We got staff sergeants. So we've got E4 to E6 going to this school. So we meet the day, we get all together, we go down to where the duty train is. We got special slots, so we have a guarantee that we're going to be on the duty train since we're going to a school. Like I said, there's 8 to 10 of us. I can't remember the exact amount. And yeah, we had to carry all our military equipment. We could borrow it down there, but we heard it to turn it back in. They took their time, and they were like really slow. They would sit there and examine each piece of equipment to make sure it was dry, make sure there was no dirt on it. And yeah, because I watched soldiers who got equipment from there turn it in, and it was just ridiculous. I mean, I walked by, an hour later I walked by again, and I think maybe 2 people had been done in an hour. slow. So we get from duty train, which I talked about last week, takes us to Frankfurt. So we're going to get on the Frankfurt German system. We're going to take a train to Munich, or not Munich, to Munich, and then we're going to switch trains and get the train that takes us to Bad Tolz. Anybody knows German train? They leave on time. What does our staff sergeant in charge of us say? Remember that, trains leave on time. So we get from duty train to the train station. Conductor looks at us, all of us wheeling multiple bags. He goes, "Oh my," and or something in German, and he opens up this door and it swings. It's like a double door, and he points to this carriage, room in the carriage, and we fill it up. All of us, we fill this up. So we got about 20 to 30 minutes before the train leaves. And what does our staff sergeant say? Remember, German trains leave on time. There's a lot to do inside of a German terminal, so I think we got something to eat, me and the missus, and we go back. So we're there about 10 minutes before the train departs, and everybody starts filtering it back in about 5 minutes. Guess who's not there? Staff sergeant. 4 minutes. 3 minutes. 2 minutes. 1 minute. We get on the train, it leaves. Guess who's not there? Staff sergeant. Who told us German trains leave on time. She catches up with us in Munich. She takes a later train, so she's behind us like about 20, 30 minutes. So we switch trains, like I said. We get to Bad Tolz, and I think they came and picked us up in buses and vans. Of course, now we're in civilian attire because we had to ride on the German system, and we didn't want to wear our Class A's and mess those up for graduation. That's the only reason to take Class A's. So then we get over to Bad Tolz. Now, Bad Tolz itself is an old barracks that the SS used at one time, but it was even older than that. But where we lived inside the barracks facility and our classrooms, the SS had sand between the two tiles. There was a tile on each side of the hallway that you could walk on, and then the SS had put sand. So you're looking at maybe an 8 to 9 inch tile on each side. You got a hallway that's greater than 2 meters or greater than 6 feet across, but you only got these two tiles on either side of the hallway and to walk. And like I said, the SS had sand so that way they could see who stepped in it. Well, Army took it out, laid concrete, painted it black, and called it the Autobahn because they had a high polish on it, because people had polished it over time with Johnson's paste wax and sometimes shoe polish, black shoe polish. And we were on the merit system while we were there, so if you wanted to erase some of your demerits, you could, on the weekends, I think Sunday, they would tape off an area, then you had to polish that and you would take a demerit off. I didn't do that. So we got there. I don't remember where we put our bags. We put our bags temporary someplace, and they said, get out of uniform, get out of your civilian clothes, get in military gear. And then at such and such time, when they expected everybody to be there, we went to the basement. We got there mid-March. There was still snow on the ground. We left mid-April. The snow was all gone. The snow was all gone in about two weeks while we were there. And we didn't go outside for any field training until the last 2 weeks. And the snow was all gone and the weather was heating up. But, however, this basement was stifling hot. And being in the middle of the latter half of the alphabet, yeah. So by the time I got up to the desk, sweat was pouring down me. I had the old sweat trickling down the small of your back or middle of your back, driving you crazy. And because you're standing at parade rest, going to attention and then taking your 1 or 2 steps forward and snapping back to parade rest, waiting to get your turn up at the desk. And of course you're at parade rest at the desk. Well, I get up to the desk, I hand over all my paperwork. Sergeant checks me in, looks at my paperwork, assigns this and that, I'm assigned a class and a room number and stuff like that. And he asks this question, what kind of unit would send a married couple to PLDC together? He's looking up at me, I'm looking down at him. A unit that cares about its soldiers is what I said. Of course, I got that look like that was a rhetorical question. I wasn't expecting an answer. Of course, he didn't say that. I got the message. So I went on. Well, my spouse was after me because I'm a C. She was a D as far as our initials went. And she was about ready to pass out, so she made it through. And we were not the only married couple there. Frankfurt had also sent a married couple. So they put the 2 males in one company and the 2 females in the other company. And we got to see each other in the evening hours after our chores and classroom and everything else was done. So I got into a 3-man room. I was in the upper bunk, and somebody had already taken the lower bed by itself. And somebody said, I don't like the upper bunk, so left me the upper bunk. I love the upper bunk. My 2 roommates were okay. We were in 12-man squads, or 12 soldier big squads, and that was also our classroom squad. And there was enough people or enough soldiers there to make 4 platoons or 4 squads of 12 members each to make a 48-member platoon, and I think there was 3 per company. So you're looking at 240 of us going to school at once. That's how big this place could handle. Yeah, because we each had our own separate classrooms. We only lost 1 member of our squad due to academia. Just couldn't pass the test, and our squad leader got upset with the rest of the squad. Like, we failed this guy, and we're like, we asked questions, he asked questions. If the instructor said if this isn't clear, we'll go over it again and again. No, we didn't fail him, but he tried to put it upon us, and I felt that's not what a leader does. You don't put the blame on the rest of the squad. We didn't lose anybody as far as I know for demerits. I earned one of my first demerits because my squad leader, after curfew, came to my door of my room, knocked on the door, called me out. Just as I stepped outside, a cadre member came around the corner and said, "What are your numbers? You both got demerits." And then the squad leader tried to pipe up, say, "No, I'm the one that called," and didn't want to hear it. So I felt a little bad. That's how I earned one of my first ones. I think the rest of them came from your room inspections. My roommates got more demerits than I did, and I don't know why. They were copying me. I lost my cool. Because like I said, here we are all specialists, promotables, sergeant promotables, and staff sergeants. Well, of course there's going to be people trying to rub people the wrong way, and there were quite a few people there. There wasn't a lot of insubordination, but there was some, because especially between the specialist promotable to the E6s, but we were all sergeants, so they couldn't do any disciplinary action. And like I said, there's always those people that just can't keep their mouth shut, can't stop saying things. And one day there was this other soldier sitting in our room with my 2 roommates, and I came back from something, and I said, "Get him out of here." And they both kind of looked at me and said, "No, we invited him in." So in the exact center of our room was a trash can. Exact center of our room was a trash can. I kicked it. Bam! Went sailing across, hit the wall. I put a big crease, big dent in it. Both of my roommates panicked. They're like, "Oh man, we're going to get kicked out of here." I said, "Don't worry, I will own up to this. I own up to what I do wrong." So I pounded it out. Didn't look any worse than any other trash cans around there after I got done pushing most of the dent out. About a half hour later, I get a person that comes to the door to come tell me that I got to report to somebody. Can't remember who. Went down to this room, knocked on the door, got called in, and it was totally dark except for the television set. The television set was on. There was a 3 or 4 nice lounge chairs sitting in front of the TV. There was a table in front of them. Two cadre members were in there. They never identified themselves. I think they just said that they were sergeants and that they belonged there, and they started talking to me. They calmed me down. They wanted to know what was wrong. I told them I was just a little bit frustrated by some of the stuff that's been going on. I can't remember exactly what my problem was, and it doesn't really matter. I thought, okay, I'm probably getting told I gotta leave. Nope, didn't have to leave. By the time that they were done talking to me, I was calm. They were calm. They were not concerned that I was going to blow up again and probably kick something else besides a trash can. Hey, I lost my cool one day. I take it out on inanimate objects. I think I pronounced that correctly. Let's see. Like I said, we did our outdoor training at the tail end of it. Most of our outdoor training was setting up patrols, setting up ambushes, going into ambushes because, you know, sometimes you're the ambusher and sometimes you're the ambushee. And then, of course, we did assaults on positions. I almost took an M60. Not really, but I was running around a bush one day. And I was screaming and hollering like everybody else were, and we were shooting off our blanks. And of course, we got the blank adapters in the end of the barrels. But I run around this bush, and there was an M60 10 feet away from me. And of course, they lifted the barrel up, you know, like they were spraying me. So I landed on my butt and due to the leaves and the pine needles, I kind of slid towards them, and they just started laughing. They're like, "Oh, we thought we actually got you." And I said, I wasn't going to take a blast to the face, so to speak, because a little bit of stuff does come out while you're shooting blanks. I mean, you can screw that thing on. You don't want it super tight, and you don't want it super loose, but there's still some stuff that does come out a little bit. We set up an L-shaped ambush. I was out here on this, and the path was right in the middle of our stem of our L. And we sat there, and we sat there, and we sat there, and our class sergeants, our instructors, were our class leaders out in the field. Ours was getting impatient because he's like, "They're supposed to be coming down the road now. Where are they?" Because, like I said, sometimes you're the ambusher and sometimes you're the ambushee. Well, finally, this lone scout comes out. He walks down the road, and he gets to where we're at, because it's kind of like an open area, but we're in the trees and the bushes. And he's looking, doesn't see anything. Good scout. But he walks through the middle, because like I said, the road went through the middle of our position. And he's looking. And of course, the class leader's like, "Don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot." And we didn't. Scout comes back. We're like, "What the heck?" And then the class leader, he was kind of like suspicious too. Like, you know, if you're a scout, you're supposed to be keeping ahead.